What's going on, baby? This is Manuel Godoy, and we are finally live. This is the 2022 Summit from Black Sands. It's a new thing I'm doing. Never did a summit before in the previous years, but now that we got a much bigger crowd, I think I'm going to go ahead and do a summit. So you guys ready? Are you guys ready for this right here? Because we're about to go in on all of our future prospects. Now, one thing I do want to say before we begin is this. What I'm saying here is subject to change, all right? It's not going to be 100% accurate because I'm basically predicting an entire year's worth of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And we might have some things happening. But with that being said, this is about as close to accurate as it will get for what's going to be happening in Black Sands in 2022 and how you can participate and be a part of the movement. Now, before we begin, I'm going to go and check on the audiences, make sure that I know who's actually here, right? So let me go ahead and check it out on LinkedIn real quick. Let's see what we got here. All right, we got 274 people on LinkedIn, and let's see what we got on YouTube. What we got here? Real quick. We got... How much we got on here? We got 226. So we're about 500 people in. I think that's pretty good, right? I think that's good enough to begin, right? So just let you know what you're typing, I am actually seeing, all right? So let me give you an example, right? Lindsay is from Alabama. He's on LinkedIn. See? I can see it. I can see it. So if you say something, I'm going to catch it. You know what I'm saying? So don't be slick, all right? But if you got any questions, make sure to put your questions in, all right? And PB, Paula Ballard from YouTube. So I got you both. I got you both in my radar, okay? Now, Turnus is going to be here later on because he's going to be explaining a lot of things about the animation studio, right? Because, you got to understand what's really about to happen, all right? We're not some people who have an idea. We have a whole freaking animation studio, and we're going to teach you guys how we're about to go down. You know what I'm saying? So when we get to the question part of this summit, it's going to be at the end, right? When we're in the question part, make sure that nobody makes like random comments. It always has to be a question, all right? Because this is a really large crowd. If we don't get like just normal questions, right, and we get like highs and stuff like that, we're not going to be able to see it because it's going to move too fast. Okay, so normal questions at the very end, right? And I'm going to be here for like 30 minutes answering questions. Okay, so let's get this going. Yeah, there's a lot of comments coming in. Let me go and do this. Boom. All right, bam. So let's begin. All right. Turner said he's going to be a little later, so I'm going to skip him if I get up to a slide, right? But let's break it down. So first up, boom. Black Sands Summit 2022. Let's go. So our objectives for today, what are we going to be talking about? First, we're going to talk about 2021 in review. What happened last year, right? A lot of you guys are new to me. So you guys never seen me before prior to the Shark Tank thing. So it's important that you know what the heck we've done already, right? So 2021 is going to be in review. Major projects for 2022. These are the really big projects that we're going to be doing in 2022. Publishing objectives. What are we planning on publishing? How can you be published through Black Sands? That's what that is. Studio objectives. What is the plans of the actual studio, the animation studio? Who are we recruiting? What are we doing for the animation, right? What are we doing? That's what the studio objectives are. Career paths, right? What are we looking for? Over the next year or so, what are we going to be looking for to hire into our company, right? And this is not people like artists, right? This is not people like voice actors. These are the normal jobs that we need in our company, right? Administrative assistant, officers in our company, that kind of thing, okay? Last thing is investment opportunities, right? What are the investment opportunities? How do you get a piece of the Black Sands empire, right? So that's what we're going to be doing, okay? Now, let's go. Let's get into it. First, 2021 in review. So, last year we had literally the best year of sales that we have ever had before. We did $1.2 million in sales. Let me repeat that. We did $1.2 million in sales. It's about 100,000 a month, give or take. Selling comic books, physical comic books. We sold well over 100,000 comic books in the year. We published, I think, about 12 original series. Now, some of these series still haven't been released yet, right? But we've published a lot of new series in our brand as well. And that's going to be very important in the future because, right, as we start contending with the big boys, right, as we start getting on the list with Dark Horse, right, we have to make sure that we have a deep enough catalog to do some serious damage out there. So publishing wise, we've done about 12 different original titles, and that's not including BSP Comics. BSP Comics launched in May of 2021, and to date, we have about 140,000 users on the app, right? And typically, we have about 6,000 users per day. Like on average, any given time, about 5,000 to 6,000 people. So we're still building that bad boy up. We're still working on, optimization of that app, right? But it's doing phenomenal because it's still in the top 40 list for book category, on Apple Android, which is huge. We were outranked Marvel right now. We outrank Marvel, we outrank DC, and we outrank Comixology. Although every now and then Comixology jumps us a little bit, but they usually go right back down. So we are actually doing pretty phenomenal on the app side. BSP Comics also has 45 different titles on it. So it's a huge amount of titles, not just from our company, but from other people who sign deals with us. All right. Let's see what else. Capital. We raised $1 million last year. We raised $1 million for the BSP Comics app, right, in order to expand the app, right? Now we're in expansion mode. So prior to that capital, we basically we did what we did. We built it. It was a great app, but we didn't have really much room to expand. Now we have the ability to expand. We have the ability to optimize, and we have the ability to recruit. So the capital is going to be used very well for that. And subscribers, our patron community is huge, huge. We probably have the biggest patron community out of all comic book companies in the United States, bar none. All right. We do well over $20,000 a month in donations. Thousands of people have subscribed to us on patreon.com. And we have publishing competitions there. We have a whole bunch of incentives. We have via voice acting. And more importantly, our patrons are the first people to get to invest in our investment rounds. So if you ask our patrons, right, literally 60% of our patrons are stockholders, right? They have stock too, right? So because that's usually why they join, was to make sure that they get that stock before everybody else, right? So it's a dope community, especially if you're a creator, especially if you're somebody who wants to get into the creative fields. Think about that in the future, all right? Now let's go. I have somebody here who says, I don't see anything. You might want to refresh your browser. Just refresh your browser because I'm not getting that complaint from other people. So just check it out. See if that fixes it. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. Major projects, right? We're on to major projects. So first of all, the Black Sands animated pilot should be done by the summer. Okay? By the summer. Now, how are we doing that right now? We're actually about 70% done, and a lot of talent is starting to reach out to us after Shark Tank, right? Shark Tank got a big radar on us, and now animators from across the world are contacting us directly to be a part of our production, which helps us a lot in recruitment. So the animated pilot most likely will be done in the summer. We already have it fully funded, right? We just needed more manpower, and now manpower is knocking down the door. The BSP Comics app expansion, that is definitely happening right now. We are always recruiting. So if you have a comic book, if you're in this right now and you have a comic book, DM me on Instagram about it. I'll send you a link to our application page. We're also going to set an application on the actual app so you can go and apply there directly instead of having to go to the website to apply. But we are definitely looking for more titles for the BSP Comics app. and employees as well. We need scouts, but I'll go into the employees part later. Video game production. Yes, Black Sands will have video games. It will, right? We have plenty of interest right now in the industry, right? So we're looking to expand our licensing into getting into video games. So I don't know if you guys know, but video games are definitely coming in, and video games is probably the most what do I say, profitable part of any company that's in entertainment. Video game industry is booming right now. It is scaling rapidly. If you hit in video games, you can do like hundreds of millions of dollars in a short period of time. So video games is easily the biggest part of our company in the future, right? But for now, we're exploring it, right? Eventually, there will be some video game deal this year. I promise you that. But right now, we're in exploration mode with video games. Let's see here. So this is a really nice one, right? Publishing objectives. So this is the Black Sands Entertainment, and it also is Black Sands Publishing's publishing objectives. All right. So both companies have the same publishing objectives. For the title quality, right? This is very important. Intermediate art or above. All right. This is important because we're basically the Gucci of Black comic books. All right. When you look at Black Sands, right, you don't think amateur book or low quality. You just don't think that, right? So we have a very high bar when it comes to associating our name with brands. There's a lot of comic books out there that are very high quality and they just couldn't sell a lot of books, right? They just don't know how to market. That's the company, that's the people that we want to bring under our wing because we sell units, right? Just like Kevin Hart said, I make movies. Well, I sell units. That's me. I sell units. So all I need is competent creators who are doing things, and we can sell a lot of product for them. A high production schedule. I can't sign anybody who takes a year to make a comic book issue, right? You make one chapter of your comic and it takes a year. I can't sign you no matter how good it looks. I just can't. We got to get product out there. You know what I'm saying? History of creating. If you got to have a resume. Either you have titles that you've done before, right? Or the current title that you're doing, you've done like 2 or 3 chapters already. So you've proven that you can consistently make more content and that your team is stable, right? And then completed works works in the same way. It's the same thing. History and completed works are basically in the same category. All right. Let's see what else. Content. Now the content. This is the actual like our kind of our mission statement, right? When it comes to how we make content. So first off, we don't like adult content. We just don't like it, right? So no cursing, gore, or sex, right? The stuff that makes it explicitly adult, we don't want that stuff. YA is fine. People dying, fine. Someone gets their head chopped off, fine. If I see veins or someone, grabbing somebody's intestines or some crazy mess like that, that is not fine, right? That's absurd. So we need to make sure that we're doing that. So if you're planning on working with us in the future on publishing, think about that. Think about that before you actually submit, No superheroes or slaves. I hate superhero stories and I hate slave, poverty, civil rights, trauma. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. I'm not going to publish it. All right. So, and people might say, why do you like superheroes? Well, one, I don't feel like competing with Marvel or DC. They already dominate that place. And I think superheroes superheroes in general are generic. Right? You can make any I don't care what superhero you make. It's generic to me. It's the same thing over and over again. So no, I don't like superheroes. I don't like slavery, poverty, civil rights. Sorry, it's not going to happen. Historical settings are encouraged, right? It doesn't mean history stories. You don't have to write a history story. I just like historical settings. So in other words, if it's a fantasy story set in ancient India, right? A fantasy story in India, I have no problem with that. That's cool, right? So long as the setting has culture in it. I like cultural settings, right? So give me some settings and culture. It's beautiful. Anti-colonial themes are fine too. So let's say you have a sci-fi story, right? Maybe you have a futuristic story and your story's in the future, right? But it's still an anti-colonial story. It's still saying a story against imperialism and colonialism, right? With black, brown, or indigenous leads. I got you. I'll let that ride. I'll publish that because it's still a part of my overall theme, right? We want to tell the stories that Hollywood don't tell, right? So that's very important. Okay, now let's move on. Studio objectives, right? So the first thing we're planning on doing is finishing the pilot by the summer. That is very, very important. All right, because if we don't finish the pilot by the summer, we just don't want to be slow to market, right? We want to be first to market with our thing. Everybody's seen us. Everybody knows how awesome we are, right? And they're going to start copying us if we don't get to market first, right? So we got to make sure that we get to market first. So we got to move fast, right? So we're going to see a lot of burn very soon on social media. You're going to see me on Instagram and TikTok giving you update after update after update. It's going to be very fast. And hopefully, if everything works out between Mark and Kevin when it comes to the negotiations that we're currently in, right? So long as we close that out, we're really going to burn. Because if Kevin is directly involved, it's going to have huge ramifications. Hey, Turnus just hopped in right on time, too. So he's right there. So are you in your car?
I am.
Okay. Well, we'll let it ride. We'll let it ride. Okay.
I am.
All
I
right.
am. I couldn't get back in time.
All good. Your segment is next. I'm talking about the studio objectives. Technically, you could chime in here as well.
Okay.
So actually, I think you should take this slide. So yeah, take this slide and just go with it. Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we are slated to finish our pilot by this summer. And what we're doing right now is we're building out the package for the series. So we're looking at our schedule and our financial model, and we're putting that together so that we can go to financiers, investors, distributors, etc. So we're building that out. We're also going to be crewing up. So basically building out the infrastructure for our studio. So that'll include, artist roles, but also, office roles, that kind of thing, certain other elements that are going to be needed. And I lost the slide. Is it still up? Yeah. And then, of course, we'll be looking at potential partner vendor studios, so places to help us complete the work. Because if we're going to bust out a series within 2 years, we're talking about, anywhere from 6 to 12, 44-minute episodes, like hour-long episodes. So that's going to take a lot of bandwidth, a lot of manpower. And yeah, that's where we're at.
Yeah, I would also say for our preparing for CF rounds, that's part of the distribution model and the funding model for the show.
Right.
So we are going through that right now, trying to figure out how we're going to do it, how we're going to keep you guys involved in it, right? Because we want our fans to be owners. I love that idea. I love that concept. It's the one thing that sets Black Sands apart from everybody else.
Yep.
Is that the fans are owners, right? And so we're going to work on a way for you guys to own a piece of the Black Sands show so that when we do $1 billion at the box office and $300 million in licensing and merchandising in 2025, you guys get a cut of that instead of Marvel taking it all and then giving y'all some slow claps at the Oscars. Say, hey, thank you, Black folks. Appreciate y'all. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's what we're going to do,
Yeah. That is the advantage of what we're trying to do, because normally when you bring financiers on, they expect a lot of that back end. They want a piece, they want some of that licensing and merchandising. They want some of that distribution fee, et cetera, et cetera. But if it's our investors, the community, all that goes back to you. And that's the beauty.
Indeed. Now, just let you know, Turnus, we actually got like 1,400 people on here. So
wow.
it says 635, but it's really like each platform has like 700. So this thing's not accurate at all.
That's great.
Right? That's why the comments are going so fast. I can't really keep up with them.
Yeah.
So, Turnus, I have a special segment for you coming up. So you're
Okay.
going to be solo. This is just you right now. I want to basically allow you to explain who you are, why you're so awesome, right? What you did at Braun Animation specifically, because you built that studio from the ground up, right? And what we're going to do with our company now that we're under, your leadership as far as animation is concerned.
Sure, sure. Well, yeah, I've been in the business now for like almost 28 years. I got into it. I initially went to school for architecture back at Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, and they had a really strong fine arts program and a really, like great art and design package. And I just got turned on by 3D. At the time, it was brand new. Everything was really cool. It was just fascinating to me. And so I started learning 3D, and I kind of, left architecture behind. I started doing some visualization for firms that did, pre-visualization for architectural projects. And but my real fascination was in animation and in that field. So I ended up moving to California, and by hook and by crook, slowly working my way into the industry. First, it was working at a school as a lab tech, and then later teaching classes down at San Jose and up in the Bay Area. I was at Academy of Art University there. And it was great because I really got to learn from the inside out, as a technician and helping, like in those early days of teaching 3D. And then I got my very first gig at a place called Midland, and what they were doing was stop motion, animatronic type stuff, and I converted them over to digital. And that was like very, very early days again. It was like when I was 27, I guess. And that was great. We did a ride film there, and we started building out a film budget. And then I got a call from LA to join a major studio, which was DreamQuest Images. And I went over there, and it was just a no-brainer because they were working on these really big features. They were working on Armageddon and on Mighty Joe Young. So I did rigging and visual effects for those two shows. Both of them got nominated that year for the for the visual effects Oscar. So that was really exciting. And it was just a really fun ride, like working on that big feature film and getting my credit up there for the very first time. And that was super exciting. And then Disney ended up buying us. So we ended up being folded in with Disney. And I started working on some really fun projects. Like I got to work on a theme park, which was Tokyo Disney Sea, which was taking the Aladdin from Genie. The Genie from Aladdin, I should say, and making him 3D. And that was a really very cool project. And then that led over to working with the Chicken Little crew, which was their first venture into 3D. So that was Disney's first venture into 3D. And then I ended up working with those crews again, like on Meet the Robinsons, where I got to rig some of the main characters like Lewis and some of the others. And then we worked on American Dog, which ended up changing later creatively into a movie called Bolt. And then I left there. I went north to Canada. So I joined a studio called Mainframe, and we worked on. So I worked on some of the pipeline stuff for Escape from Planet Earth, and they had a straight to DVD project for the Nutty Professor, and that was really cool. And I left out some stuff too. Like there was some visual effects work I did while I was in LA freelance. I was doing Queen of the Damned and Chronicles of Riddick, doing visual effects for those pictures, which was super fun.
Yeah, turn it.
Sorry, I'm rambling.
I think they know. I think they know that you qualified as far as like animation is concerned. But when you started managing, right? That was at Brown Animation.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, like when I came to Canada, it started changing. Right. Like I worked more into leadership roles. Like I was building pipelines. So when I was at Mainframe, I was building out their rigging and back end pipeline. And then when I joined Pixar Canada, I went back to being an artist again, and I was kind of bored. Like I found myself a little bit like under challenged, I would say. And around that time, a former colleague came to me and he said, "Hey, can you take a look at our shop? We're just starting out. We need a little help." So I went to look at it, and they were just getting started. They had about 8 people. They were starting to build like out a TV animation project, but they were a little bit of a mess, honestly, like when I first got there. So, they had a great concept, like some great projects and stuff, but, they didn't really know how to organize and how to, really build out an animation studio. So that's when I came on with them. initially as a CG supervisor, and then eventually, moving up. So my role ended up becoming what they called a VP of digital production. So my role really was to build out the processes. So build the workflows, build the key, core staff, like hiring all the leads, putting in all the production processes, like the reviews and the, everything that goes into basically producing and executing animation, like, built basically straight up. So we started working on these 3 1-hour TV specials. And each time we kept advancing our pipeline, re-engineering, re-architecting, bringing in more professional tools, higher and higher caliber artists. I had the good fortune at that time that a lot of Pixar Canada closed its offices, and I had a lot of colleagues there. So I was like, hey, and I
cannibalize them. You just ate them up. Say, hey, you're coming over here.
I said, you come in here. And I got some of the best. I had some amazing people come join me there, including our head of pipeline, who is like astounding. Like, you've met him actually, Manuel. He was kind of working with us, advising a little bit on the BSP app. Mm-hmm. And anyway, long story short, after 8 years, we had 3 1-hour TV specials. We had 2 feature films. The last one was The Willoughbys. I was executive producer on that. I basically, took them from a really small shop to like a major, 150, 160 person facility with very professional, feature level, production processes and quality. And I'm really proud of what we did there. It was an amazing ride. It's like almost $90 million worth of, CGI production, shepherded through. And it was a great ride.
Yeah. So what you heard from there was, we're gonna do it our fucking. Oh, my bad. There might be some kids on here. Is it? We're about to do it ourselves. All right.
We're New Yorkers, right?
What he's trying to say is that we're gonna make this show ourselves. All right. That's basically all he's saying, man.
Yeah.
So
yeah. We know how to do it. That's the point. We know how to. Yeah, we know how to do this. We know
how to budget. We know how to freaking recruit. Right. We know how the distribution models work. What's a good deal and what's a crap deal. Right. Yeah. We know. Right. Now I want to ask you some other things as well. What were the things that you saw that was a huge problem with the typical industry versus what we're going to be doing? Like, let's say cost controls, or, the really things that could balloon a budget, and why we're going to be more efficient than them when it comes to animation.
Yeah, well, one of the biggest things is just mismanagement. Like, sometimes you get into a place where, at the top, the people who run the place, they don't necessarily understand what animation production is all about. So oftentimes, they don't hire the right leadership. They don't really know how to assess the talent of the crew below them, and they don't know how to listen to them. They don't know how to, really weigh in and say, okay, this guy really knows what he's talking about. This guy doesn't. And that's the sort of thing that's really important. You got to be able to recognize talent both at the high level and at the student level. So you have to be able to see a student and say, that guy and that girl, they have potential. Like, these are going to be the ballers of the industry in 5-10 years. And you have to be able to recognize talent, and you have to know how to nurture that talent. So if you've never been an artist yourself, you've never been in the ranks, it's really hard to relate. It's really hard to tell them, how to grow and how to evolve as an artist. So that's the main thing. The main thing is really understanding people's roles, how those roles work together, and how animation production is done. Like, that's the bottom line. Like, you really have to know how it's done. If you don't, you're constantly making mistakes. You're constantly wasting money. And Manuel, like, you've seen this firsthand. Like,
you told me before, you were like, hey, I really like, man, this guy's reel was amazing, right? But, the work that he's submitting.
Yeah.
Like, I think we're going to have to execute him. It's like the way it was, right? Because, like, it's not matching up what I saw versus what I'm getting. What I'm saying?
Yeah, he had some fake stuff on his reel, I'm pretty sure. So.
But it is, if you were just some guy who had a lot of money who was in charge of this, which is a lot of situations in Hollywood, right? They have a lot of animation. It's just a guy who knows a guy, and now they're in charge of this entire production. They won't know that person shouldn't be there. That's just taking money and really is not qualified for the position, right? And at the same time, He's also like Turnus. We haven't had any what's it called? We haven't had any internships, but we have hired students.
We have,
So we
you know,
straight up hire them. We don't do internships. We pick people who have significant talent and we pay them. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. Everybody's paid. Everybody that's been on this project has been paid. We have had sort of a high level professional advisement, I would say, from people that weren't paid. You know, people that just wanted to help out, like they believed in us, and they
You're paid in social capital, man. Yeah, they're your friends,
yeah,
right? So
yeah. These are people who, you know, are really ballers in the industry, like some of the best of the best.
who's
Huh?
on the team? Why don't you explain who's on the team? Because that's
Yeah,
always
well,
our prospective investors in the future. Who's on the
yeah,
team?
well, our lead editor is Scott Winlaw. Like now he's one of the best in the industry. You know, he was lead editor on Invincible, on Addams Family 2. He was the development and creative editor early days on Willoughby's. Uh, you know, he worked on Escape from Planet Earth. Like this guy, his resume is outstanding, and you know the proof is in the pudding. Like, you know, when he puts together a teaser or you know, a sizzle reel, like you look at it, you're like, that's Hollywood. Like you're like we're playing in the big leagues, and this is a real serious guy. So Scott's on board, and he's a cool guy to work with too. He's just fun, you know, like he's a cool guy.
What about the person in charge of our lighting? Because
Oh
I love
God,
that's my favorite part. Like because
yeah,
I'm a game guy, so
yeah. That's when we get to see the finished product, right? Like when we see everything come together is in lighting. Our lighting lead, Tom Wright, he's again like a guy who I knew way back in the day at Disney, like over 25 years ago. Um, you know, it's interesting. My wife was helping me with recruiting, and she was reaching out to all these people, and then she found his reel, and she says, "Hey, what about this guy?" And I looked at his reel, and I thought, he'll never say yes. He'll never come on. Like this guy,
never
like
say
he's like, I don't know, like many years with Epic, like doing really high end, like AAA game cinematics, like the best of the best. Like this guy's work is like outstanding. When you see his reel and his art station, you just can't believe it. And you know, he said, "Hey, I'm really interested. I like the project, and you know, like, you know, we used to know each other back in the day, and I was, and he's cool. Like Thomas is cool. Like I'm telling you, he's down for us. You know, he's loving it. He's loving the work. He's so invested. He's so interested. And every single shot he takes, he just pluses it. Like he gives us stuff we didn't ask for. Like he's like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And we're like, "Whoa, didn't even think to ask for that. It's just so beautiful."
yeah.
Like he's very invested. And again, like you're talking about a man in his 50s.
That's also pretty cool too because we have people who can add stuff that we weren't even thinking of, right? And
Yeah.
because they've been in so long, it's not wasteful. It's not something that's going to cost us more money. It's just something that they're like, you know, you might not have thought of this, but check this out real quick. And you're like,
Yeah.
what the heck is that? And then all of a sudden it gets elevated, you know? So
And they know how to save you money because they're experts in their field, and they can inform you. And you know, like I know what I don't know. So when I'm diving into something and I'm working in an area like a depth that's not my depth, I listen to the experts, and I trust them. But
all
I
right,
know
well,
when I'm
get off this animation because we really stuck a long time here. I felt like it was a very important topic though. That's why I stayed here a lot longer than I would have in other sections of our presentation. But you know, we really had to sell that because that's our next investment round. If everything goes according to plan, our next investment round is the animation, and
on the show.
you got to know who the team is. You got to know. You know, we ain't no bums. All right. So let's move on. Career paths, right? A lot of you people want to work with Black Sands, literally, right? So here's a couple of things. We're gonna have to build out our central office, right? Eventually, we're gonna have a headquarters, right? Because we're just gonna do so much business, right? Whether it's school distribution, right, sales force, whatever, we're gonna have a headquarters, and we're gonna have to need some staff there. Some staff is just regular people, right? Secretary, administrative assistant, right? All these normal jobs, right? So there's going to be jobs out there that's going to be coming mostly through LinkedIn and Patreon, right? Where people are going to be able to apply in order to work with it. You know, we're located in the Northeast, right? So most likely a physical location will be either in Maryland, Pennsylvania, or New Jersey. Most likely. I don't want to be in New York. Sorry, guys. Listen, all you New Yorkers out there, I just don't want to go that. I just don't want to go in that location, man. It's a little busy. So that's going to be where the physical location most likely will be. Um, Besides the administrative roles, we're going to need scouts. All right. We're a publishing house. So we're going to have to find people who can find talent. Right. And I don't mean talent as in like, workers. I mean talent as in like IP. What IP out there are we trying to get into our system? Are we going to publish a new comic book? Are we going to look at specific novels that can be converted into comics? Right? Are we going to steal webtoons from Webtoon? Right? Like, hey, look at this awesome black comic book on Webtoons. Let's steal them, right? But we need people to be looking for that stuff. So we're going to be hiring scouts, right? Whose only objective is to find new talent for us. Co-writers. I can't write anymore. I'm be honest with you. I write. I barely have time to write. I'm kind of a public figure now, right? So I just don't have time to write. So I really need help in writing for Black Sands. A lot of my other creators are going to need help as well. So we're going to be looking for co-writers all over the place, right? Some deals will be royalties, some deals will be straight up pay, right? But either way, there's going to be plenty of opportunities to be a just pure writer in our company. I'd say in the next 3 months, we're going to start recruiting in that. So from now until about 3 months, we're going to start the recruitment process of writers, right? Writers. And then officers. This is for the really like business professional people in the thing. We want to assign officers to our company, right? We need some officers at this point. A CTO, we need a technology officer, right? We need a whole bunch of different officers that we're going to need in order to keep our company running like a smooth engine, right? So this is for the really high level people who've been around for a long time, maybe been in the publishing industry or whatever. This is the time to apply and try to get an officer slot, right? It's very important, So we need a licensing person, right? Because even though we're gonna, eventually work with licensors, right, with a licensing agent and stuff like that, you still need somebody in charge of that whole like ecosystem, right, Turnus? It's like you just need somebody who's dedicated to that all day. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. That's a busy job just in and of itself.
Yeah.
Making sure things stay on brand, like approving.
Yep.
Designs, content, all that stuff.
Yep. So there's plenty of opportunities. I got people here saying, Dante said, where's Dante? Dante said, I could scout. See, we got a whole bunch of people out here who's ready to work. So we're going to have opportunities. And one thing is we do not believe in free work. We just don't. I hate free work. I hate internships. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I just pay people. I like that. That's my system. It's been that way for 5 years straight. I could have used my clout. I could have used my success to pressure people into working for me for free, right? But at the end of the day, I don't want to owe anybody anything. So I give you the money. I say, this is the work. This is the cash, right? and we're good. I don't like owing people nothing, right? I don't like no IOUs in the future or even favors, right? Oh yeah, just do me a favor one day. Hell no. Here's a check. Right. You ain't gonna pull no mob stuff on me talking about I just need you to get rid of a body. I don't know what the hell you gonna ask me for. So I'm just gonna make sure that everybody gets paid, they sign their contracts, right? And we work like a nice fine-tuned engine that grows so that our investors are happy that we are 100% liability free. No liabilities. You don't want to have no strings attached. Let's see. Can people work remotely? That's actually a good question. I'm going to answer that one, even though we're not in the question section yet. I'm going to answer that question. Can people work remotely? Absolutely. Absolutely. Depending on your job. But absolutely. We already have our entire animation studios remote.
Everybody.
We got a lot of people in it, and nobody can see each other. Well, actually, some people see each other in Vancouver, right? But for the most part,
we don't even see each other.
I know, right? Maybe a lunch every 6 months or something like that, but that's about it. So yeah, remote work, 100% fine with us. We don't care about that. Not a major requirement for us, right? So Even if
I
you're in
like
another,
it.
even if you're in another country, I don't care. You know,
Yeah.
as long as you've got really good. If you're in another country and you're doing a job for sourcing or something, you better have amazing connections, right? Because it's gonna be a lot harder to train you up. You know, if you're on the other side of the world. Let's see. Let's keep moving. Investment opportunities, right? So there's two categories here we're going to focus on. Previous investors is people who already own shares in our company, right? That's investors column. Future investors column is for y'all that haven't bought in yet, or maybe bought in so late that you got refunded because we were oversubscribed at that time, right? We were already oversubscribed. You didn't get in through grandfathering. You got refunded, and now you're like, dang it, I can't wait to get into that next investment round. I'm being on time, right? So that's y'all. All right. So let's go with the first one, long term. So investors who already own stock in our company. It is a long-term investment. I want to reiterate that. They have stock. They're not going to be able to sell stock for 3 to 5 years. They own it, right? It is clearly appreciating right now, right? So you're not losing value. You are going sky high right now in value and valuation of our company. So that is very good for you guys. Eventually, we will have internal trading. There's a lot of internal trading systems in place, right? That are we're capable of doing. Maybe like once we get to like the Series B or something, right? There's systems in place so you can kind of have trading, right? Through internally instead of like on the stock market, right? And that's really good for you guys. And if you want to like cash out or something like that, it's definitely a possibility in the future. I'm not saying it's absolutely going to happen, but am considering it. I already thought of it. It's already in my mind. Like, how do I get people to get their cash out early, right? So probably some internal trading system. And then private events. So if you don't know, the age of COVID messed up all my plans for private events. I was planning on having once a year a convention dedicated to Black Sands. Because think about it, I got 45 different titles on the BSP Comics app, dozens of Black creators, right, who have their own comic books. Why the heck can't I do a convention by myself? You know what I'm saying? Like, why can't I? I have like 30 people who are comic book creators, like really good comic book creators. Bring them all in, right? Have panels, have events, have premieres, have family events, because most of the people who invest in my company, literally 65% of my investors, we surveyed this. 65% of my investors are parents. So I want them to bring their kids, and people who own stock in our company that invested over $1,000 in the past, they get free VIP tickets for the whole family. They just come in, they're free, they get catering, and they get access because you're an investor. You put the money in before we were famous, before the sharks said we were good. You knew we were good. So those are the things for the people who previously invested. Once this stupid age of COVID is over and we can start having conventions again, right? We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it once a year. We're gonna start small at like maybe just one small building, and then we're gonna, 5 years from now, we're gonna have Black Sands Con looking like BlizzCon and stuff, taking over an entire mountain with like 100,000 people at the event. That's how we're gonna do it. All right. And I'm proud of you guys for joining us before we were famous, right? And the new opportunities will be coming very soon. Now, for the future investors, right? The future investors, there is early access. In order to get early access, you had to have either been a previous investor, right? Or you have to be a subscriber on Patreon. More like I told you, 60% of my subscribers on Patreon are investors, right? They already have stock, right? So they're just trying to make sure that they keep a close eye on our company, right? Which is why they subscribe. They have private meetings on Patreon. We have special opportunities and what's it called? So they're in there. If you want to guarantee that you're going to get into the next round because you want to, you don't know how fast it's going to be. We're kind of famous now. Before it was like we raised $1 million over like 2 months, right? And that's still really fast for $1 million, right? Imagine now with us on television, with us on news stations and radio stations and everything else on national television. You know, imagine that, how fast these rounds are going to close. You know what I'm saying? So be fair, be first. Be first. Make sure to be on Patreon. Minimum is $100. That's just the way the platform works because we usually raise capital on WeFunder, right? I don't know if our next round will be on WeFunder. It might be on Start Engine. It might be on some other platform. But basically, they're all the same. All those platforms are the same. $100 minimum. That's because there's going to be a lot of investors. They don't want to have a tiny minimum. Like you can't buy like 2 shares. You know what I'm saying? You got to buy $100 worth of shares. So that's the minimum investment. So if you think about that in the future, make sure you got at least $100 when the investment round begins. All right? There's no maximum though. Although I will cap it. I'll promise you I'll cap it. If somebody comes in famous trying to buy like $500,000 or $1 million of stock, right? Because technically they can. I can always just refuse it. I could tell the people in the system, say, cap them at 100K. Right? I'd be like, hey, cap them at 100K. I'm not going to have 3 or 4 people buy up the entire stock thing because I'm going to have thousands of investors no matter what, right? Lastly, for all the future investors in our company, there is no more opportunities in the short term. I don't know about the long term, but in the short term, there is no more opportunities to invest in Black Sands Entertainment and Black Sands Publishing, which are the 2 companies that we currently have. The only future investment rounds that we're going to have that you are guaranteed to have is project-based. In other words, the Black Sands season, the first season of Black Sands, licensing and merchandising rights. These are things that you're going to be able to invest in. You're going to be able to buy into. Video games, if we ever do video games and we're looking for funding from the community, that's something you'll be able to invest into. It's project-based. So the entirety of success in Black Sands is not what you're going to be benefiting from if you invest. You're going to be investing in the one thing that you put money into. And that thing, right, is going to be much more high risk, but also much more high reward. For instance, if Black Sands Entertainment makes $100 million, it doesn't mean you're going to make any money until you sell your shares. Do you understand? You don't get any richer. You don't get a dollar in your pocket unless we pay dividends or something, right? If we just issue dividends, you're not going to get any money in your pocket if we make $100 million on anything, right? Black Sands Entertainment, because that's the way stock works. However, if Black Sands, the 7 Kingdoms, season 1, does $150–200 million in licensing and merchandising, and our investors own 15% of royalties, licensing, and merch, they're going to get 15% collectively of that $150 million. Do you understand? So whatever you put in, I don't know what it is at, but basically you're going to get you're going to get checks roughly every 6 months or so. So much more risk because, you know, the anime could completely flop. Who knows, right? Worst anime in the world, fail. That's why the animation industry, when you fund something in the animation industry, you have huge incentives, right? Piece of the licensing, piece of the merchandising, because push comes to shove. If it fails, it's all on us, right? Everybody loses. But if it succeeds, if it happens to be that diamond in the rough that succeeds, it could be the biggest returns you'll ever get in your life, and it'll constantly pay you forever. All right? So high risk, high reward. I hope you got your guns ready because that's the kind of stuff you're going to be looking at in the future. Okay? Let's see. So this is just more of a how to support our company thing, right? Before we take questions, because we're about to take questions right now. So first, how to support. Buy books. Right? Let's buy some books. Go to blacksands.com, buy books. Go to amazon.com, Walmart, Barnes & Noble. All our stuff is there. Buy books. Easiest way to support. And you got collectibles, right? You can go and say, hey, these are the original copies, right? Let's see what else. Subscribe on Patreon, for real. We got the biggest community of patrons out there. You want to join, just subscribe on Patreon. Engage on social media. I love engagement. Engagement is king. You want us to grow? You want us to grow as a company, especially if you're an investor? If you're an investor in our company, and all you got to do is just yap. When we post stuff online, say, oh, that's dope. That's enough. That is enough. Engagement is king. If we have 100 comments in the first 5 minutes of a post, that post is going to the moon, right? Instagram and the robots in Instagram and the robots at TikTok go, ooh, what an amazing post. And they send it to the moon. So you guys got to make sure that you're engaging, because even if you didn't put $1 in it, you can't put 40 or whatever. Engagement is king in this day and age. Telling a friend, right? Don't let your friends not know about this, right? Don't let your friends not know about this. Tell a friend. Tell them about it. Apply for work. Work with us, especially if you're super talented. Like if you're somebody with a really deep resume, we want to see it. We want to be a part of that. All right. We want to put the right people in place, because a lot of people are qualified and never get the opportunities to work in the big stuff, in the big leagues. They're qualified, but they don't get in, and it sucks, right? Because they have so much potential, and no one gives them that chance. We are those dudes. We are looking to give people, especially our people, right, the opportunity to freaking have a career here. You know what I mean? So, look, that's what we're doing. And lastly, demand locally. What does demand locally mean? It means there's two ways to buy books from us, right? One is to go online, order books, we send you books. The other way is to go to Barnes & Noble, right? Or go to the local bookstore or a library or the school and say, hey, how come you don't have Black Sands? I really want to read Black Sands. And they're like, what do you mean? I don't have that book. They said, well, why don't you order it? You can order it right now. I want to get Black Sands. I want to buy it from this store right here. Get me Black Sands. And then they're going to start ordering Black Sands because people are asking for it. You know what I'm saying? That's how a company gets ridiculously wide, when a whole bunch of places in America starts asking for Black Sands to be distributed through them. You know what I mean? So let's do some groundwork, man. It's kind of like a political movement, right? We're knocking on doors.
Libraries too.
Yeah, school libraries, knocking on doors. We go to the board meetings and stuff when they got school board meetings and say, hey, we like talking about representation, but how come Black Sands isn't in this school? They're gonna be like, what the heck are you talking about? Right?
Yeah, get it in the library.
Yeah, so that's an amazing thing. All right, so let's go and open up the floor to questions. All right, so we got questions. You can do it to Turnus. You do it to me. Doesn't matter. We're gonna start right about here. So let's see. I'm gonna be looking over there. I'm also gonna put up a banner on the bottom just so you can see where you can subscribe. So there you go. You got a banner on the bottom. It says subscribe on patreon.com/Black Sands to be invited for early access to any opportunities of Black Sands, free comics, publishing competitions, videos, and more. Oh, voice actors. I'm gonna answer that question right now. That way people don't get over, right? 3 to 6 months. 3 to 6 months, and we'll start looking for voice actors for season 1. Not right now. Right now it's like 5 characters, so there's no way we're doing casting rounds for that, all right? But season 1 begins? Absolutely. Okay. Let's go. So, all right, Bree Jones, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Let's see. What are you looking for in a writer or scout resumes? I wouldn't be too concerned about what I'm looking for in the resume yet because I haven't even started the recruitment process. But with that being said, for scouts, we're definitely looking for people who are already plugged into the industry. So, like, if you don't talk about anime or manga or comics normally, like on social media or something, I'm just gonna assume you're not qualified. I'm just gonna assume that, right? Even if you have a good resume, I'm just gonna assume like you got to live that life. You know what I mean? So that's very important to be living that life. Let's see. What kind of jobs are you hiring for, and are any remote? All of them most likely will be remote, except for the ones that are in headquarters, right? So that's very important. Let's do it like this too. That way we can see better. Is email the only way animators should contact for work? DM Turnus. DM Turnus. His tag on Instagram is Black Sand Studios. DM him with a link to your portfolio.
And also recruiting at blacksandstudios.com. So
yeah, recruiting at blacksandstudios.com as well, you know?
Yeah.
But it's probably better just to DM him because it's easy. Just DM him, send him a reel. He says, "Ooh, this is pretty cool." Yep. Right? And then y'all begin talks, right? You know, so do that. Let's see. As far as co-writer position, does that include someone who's an artist writer. As far as co-writer position, does that include someone who is an artist writer? The answer for that is if you're an artist writer, I'd probably just rather you do a book and then send me a book that you want to have published, right? If you're starting one from scratch, I would definitely ask us, right, whether we would do a publishing deal for you in the first place before you start, if you're making it specifically for Black Sands, because we would give you some input on what we think the story topic should be, right, and the look of it, right? Because if we don't prove it, like if we don't like the style in the first place right off the bat, right, then even if you make the book, we're not going to approve it anyway, and then you just spent like 2 or 3 months, right, working on something. You know what I mean? So it's best to get pre-approval. But artists, writers, the total package creators, those are people that we would love to sign as straight up traditional publishers, as opposed to a co-writer or something like that. You know what I mean? Let's see. When a jobs listing is going to start being posted? Turnus is already working on them. He doesn't really have listings. Turnus, what are you looking for in the animation department?
Right now, I'm looking for senior animators. I'm looking for 2D effects animators, and I'm looking for people who can light in Unreal Engine. So if you've got Unreal Engine experience, that's huge. Those are the 3 roles that I'm looking for right now. Longer term, all positions. So I would say that, definitely send in anything. I'll put up expression of interest type of job postings as well on the site. Nothing's up on the site right now as far as job postings, but if you email recruiting@blacksandstudios.com, you'll definitely reach me. And again, on LinkedIn is a great way too.
Yeah, I think we're gonna start doing job postings on LinkedIn, or at least like pre-registrations or something for like job postings and stuff.
And I answer people on there, so
Yeah. Okay, and for us, we haven't started yet. 3 to 6 months. 3 to 6 months, and I'm gonna be recruiting like crazy, right? But not right now. Let's see. What type of experience will writers require? I don't care about that. I just want a portfolio that's amazing. I need evidence. Evidence is all I care about. I don't care about what a resume looks like. I don't care about past experience. I want evidence, right? So if you're gonna help me write stories about Black Sands, I assume you already have comic books that you have credits on, right, that are somewhat in the action adventure genre, right? If you don't have that, there's no chance, right? Because I'm not going to train you into the position, right? I need somebody who's going to be able to go, right? So that's something that's very important. Similarities is the most important thing, right? Qualified similarities. That's the things that I'm looking for. Let's see. Will BSP be looking to hire our artists for the comic department? Yes. So sequentials, pencils, inks, colors, typesetting, all that stuff. Editing, right? We're gonna need a lot of them. We're gonna need an infinite amount of them, right? So just put your applications in, and we will be hoarding all those people, because at the end of the day, every time we publish a new title, we got to have a whole team assigned to it. You know what I mean? So we are going to be recruiting nonstop, all right? And we have the capital, so it's not like we don't have the money to go and pay for everybody. So just keep applying. Send us good portfolios, and if you fit the bill, right? We like your style, and we think that a comic book would fit that style. We'll assign somebody to you, and y'all can start building. Let's see. Let's see. I am signed. So Ella, I don't know which title they have, right? So I wish they said that in this message, but it says I am signed with Black Sands, but not on the featured list. Are you planning to expand the featured series list in the future? So basically, like, there's independents, right? So people who are not in the featured list, right? They're independents, and then there are people who are in the featured list because they are signed with us, right, exclusively, right? Now, that's not the only reason why they're on the feature list. They also have really high quality productions, right? So they really represent what Black Sands is. Some people are just not ready yet, right? So I don't know if your title is. Maybe your title is amazing and you just want to be non-exclusive, right? It's because we have one right now with like Kaleidoscope. Kaleidoscope is amazing. One of those titles that you would sign in 5 seconds, right? But right, she wants non-exclusivity, so that's it, right? It's like that's just the way it is. So first is whether you want to be exclusive with Black Sands. Second is whether you qualify for our really high benchmarks, right? Some people just aren't ready yet. So that's what's up. Let's see. Are you open to slice of life stories? Absolutely. I wish there was more of it. Why did nobody ever do slice of life stories, right? I want to be a comedian one day. Make a manga about that, right? Or a comic about that. I'm gonna be a comedian one day, and it's like a story about gigs and stuff. How they went on gigs, and it was an epic fail, and then one great one, and then they had their shot, and now they're trying to get that shot done, and all of a sudden, a whole bunch of things happen in their life that makes them walk away from it, and then 25 years later, right? They're feeling bad because they left that one opportunity behind, and now this moment happens, and they're rusty as hell. There we go. I already gave you a whole movie pilot for this slice of life, right? Somebody send me a comic that actually has that. All right. Let's see. Question. What is the CF round again? That's crowdfunding. Crowdfunding. All right. So we don't take private investors, right? Except for sharks. So we don't take private investors, and everything's through crowdfunding, which means that everybody gets a small piece, right? And there's no barriers. So whoever knows can get in, right? That's how we do it. And you mentioned you're in Northeast. Yeah, I already told you where I am basically by showing you all the surrounding areas, right? Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. So I'm in that area. Let's see. Turnus, answer this one.
Music supervisors. Yeah. Again, it'll be the same thing. We'll probably post up opportunities and browse people's portfolios, demos, etc. I've obviously had some relationships with previous music supervisors in the past, people I've worked with in the past, but I'm definitely open, and I think music supervision on our properties is critical. I think it's absolutely critical that it's correct for the titles and for the community. So yeah, we're going to be looking at that really hard, and I think we're gonna have open postings, and it's something that we're going to be looking at together. Like,
yeah, me personally, I gotta have bangers, man. We gotta have like orchestral bangers. That's how I do it, man. I ain't gonna have no hip hop beats on Black Sands, right? I ain't gonna have generic movie like sounds, stuff like that. It's got to be stuff like Attack on Titans, where you can just listen to it in your car. Like, this is a banger. I don't even know what this show is, but whatever these songs is, I'm gonna watch whatever show that is. Right? We got to have bangers. So that's gonna be very important for us. So that kind of field, right? That kind of expertise in orchestras and connecting with orchestras to do like original music, that's gonna be huge for us.
Yeah, especially for Black Sands, because if you know a good like cadre of composers, like people who are really good at scoring, that's going to be key.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Well, BS, we're looking for artists to comment. I already did that. Are you going to post for silver artists on Patreon first? Are you going to post for most other artists on Patreon first? Absolutely, all the time. Always do everything on Patreon first, right? It's kind of like the thing, right? It's like you subscribe to me, you get first access. So usually it's patrons and all the investors, right? Because the investors have their own news through the WeFunder portal, right? So I post there as well with investors as the only people that can see it. So investors and patrons always get first cracks at everything. And if we don't have a qualified investor or a public or a patron, then we start opening it to the public. That's usually how we do it every time, right? I love nepotism, right? So don't get mad at me, right? Nobody's gonna freaking morality me. The best person should win. No. The ones that support, right? The ones that have been there, they're the ones that are gonna win before anybody else. That's just the way it is, right? Just like, when people try to get all these opportunities with me in the comic industry, I'm like, look, I already got 45 titles on the app. I already got people who already chose me as their leader before any of this crap was public that I was going to be on national television and stuff like that. So I'm going to develop those properties before I ever bring yours to any of these meetings for movies and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just rude. It's like these people did all this work to get here. They didn't know that there was a freaking golden apple at the end of the road. They just said this guy was a good leader. I'm going to follow him. And now they don't get the opportunities when they come. That makes no sense, right? You give them the first shot all the time. So yeah, that's 100%. Patrons will be first, always, on everything. Now, if they're not qualified, they're not qualified. Nothing I can do about that, right? Right. So let's see what else. Are students still being hired? Turnus.
Yep, indeed. I just found a student, and he's amazing. I saw his demo reel on LinkedIn, and I reached out to him as fast as humanly possible, and because I knew he'd get gobbled up right away. And
Hey.
yeah.
And if you're a student, where is your freaking picture? Okay, he said, don't be on LinkedIn with no picture, man. Okay, I want a picture there so you can say I'm a successful, great person. All right, you gotta have
and a
picture.
link to your reel.
Gotta have a picture. Reel right at the beginning, right
Yeah.
in your. Okay, let's see. Are there any opportunities for Black-owned businesses to collaborate or add value with services we provide? It depends on the service, right? It's not like we need a lot of services, right? So I don't know. We used to work with Pep Squally, right? For what was it? Music, right? So she helped us with that.
Cosmic Girls. Yeah,
Right.
she did music supervision and voice casting, and she was great. She was absolutely great.
Yeah, she's an agency, right? Basically an agency for Black voice actors and stuff like that. So we probably will be working with her again in the future, right? For kid stuff, whatever kid stuff we're planning on doing, because she specializes in kid stuff.
And she's got a super talented roster, and she's amazing.
Yeah. So it really just depends on if they have some kind of like similar field, right? Because we would love to work with people if they are qualified to get them in, even if they're a little less qualified than what's typically out there, right? If they're definitely can pull the job off, we give them the chance, right? So let's see what else. Are there plans on making Black Sands a crypto coin? Absolutely not. I sell books. I sell stock, right? Real products, and because they're real, right? I don't like selling dreams, right? I have a reputation to protect. That's why I'm never getting into crypto, never getting to NFTs until it becomes an official thing by the U.S. government, right? Regulated to death, right? Because then I know for a fact that my people won't be left holding the bag in 2 or 3 years. Like, man, I bought this $2,000 JPEG of a SAR, right? And then it's like worth $0 in the future, right? Because the industry doesn't exist anymore. The blockchain, but it's the blockchain, right? So that might be my own bias. That might be my own bias, but I am a businessman. I sell product. I create product, and I give people opportunities to own pieces of my company backed by my inventory and sales, right? So I have a different mindset compared to someone who is an artist and doesn't really have like a base of customers, so they make NFTs. That's like their business, right? That's their whole business model is NFTs. My business already has a business model, so adding NFTs is just a big giant distraction from what I'm already doing. You know what I mean? Let's see. Can I gift stock to someone after I buy in? Can I gift stock to someone after I buy in? It's complicated, very complicated. I'm sure it's possible, but it's complicated because it's private stock. You know what I'm saying? And there are restrictions on trades for at least a year. So there you go. When is the next investment round? The second the pilot's done. Right, Turnus? You're muted.
Sorry about that. We might open up investment in the actual production before the pilot's done. So it all depends on how fast we can structure that. But it actually would make sense to get it going early.
Early? Okay. Well, I guess I was wrong. Right. Yeah. I was going to use the pilot as like the ultimate commercial. Like, hey.
Absolutely.
Piece of it. Right. Yeah. But Guess we might not need that. So Turnus has other ideas. We'll think about that.
Yeah,
Um,
not sure.
I already answered this question. Just yes, we're looking for artists. Apply. Just apply. Um, Lawyer for Change. I want to highlight her. Subscribe, customer, and investor. There's a lot of people have been with us for 5+ years. They've done everything already. Like they, like there's nothing else they could do. They've done everything possible, right? So thank you so much. Appreciate you. You'd be surprised what them little $5 subscriptions do when there's thousands of people to do it. You know what I mean? Netflix loves the micro deals, right? So let's get it done. Let's see. Let's see. Do you see any more questions, Turnus? This is probably a billion questions, and I'll never catch up. What about
I don't see them on my end.
yeah? What about opportunities for? You should see the comments on the right side of your
Yeah, I'm
screen.
not seeing it.
You're on your phone. You're on the phone. Never mind. You're
Yeah,
on the phone, right? Yeah. Okay. What about opportunities for producers and video editors?
absolutely. We will definitely have opportunities for both. So I will be looking for line producers, production managers, producers at a higher level, video editors for sure. So lead editors, assembly editors, story editors. You know, to do a show, you need a team. You need like 6, 7 editors. And it's a big job. So there absolutely will be those opportunities. Yes.
And I love getting my social media game up, so I'm gonna be hiring editors just for social media, right? Right. So viral content. All right. So let's see. Oh, it's about to break. Uh, let's see this question. I know you're not in the video game industry just yet, but I have been writing a story for a video game. I'm curious to know what you would need from me in order to get it developed. That's the thing. We don't develop any concepts at all. No concepts, no scripts, no ideas. Anything that's coming from the outside has to be fully finished, right? Anything that comes from the outside has to be fully finished, and we're bringing it to market, right? So from the outside, we're basically like a distributor. You come to us because we have the market, right? We have the customers, and you want to be plugged into that ecosystem, right? But any other situation doesn't exist. It just doesn't.
Yeah. I'd like to add something to that too. It's really important. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but out in the industry, you'll often see people say no unsolicited pitches or ideas will be
Yeah,
read, and that's really important because what happens is somebody pitches something to you, it may be very similar to something that you, as a studio or as a publisher, you're already working on. Like you have something that's very, very, very similar. And what that does is it opens you up to liability, basically. Like that person can say, "Hey, you took my idea." So it's really important.
always
It's something.
always been a standing idea is just straight up no ideas, right?
Yeah,
No ideas, period. We don't accept any concepts, nothing. We don't. That's just the way it is, right? And that's just always been our policy, right? And it's just also a practical reason. Manpower. Manpower is limited, right? So I put manpower into things that are guaranteed. You know what I mean? So that's what's up. Let's see. Oh yeah, lawyers. Any lawyers, seasoned lawyers in entertainment and comics and publishing and all the other stuff. Please feel free to DM me. All right, because my current lawyer for entertainment has basically retired. She did enough in her life that she's good, right? So I don't want to keep bugging her. So I'm looking to get a couple more new entertainment lawyers that work with IP and stuff like that. So hit me up.
yeah.
Hit me up. All
And
right.
building out these production companies.
Yeah, we got lawyers. Lawyers. I got corporate lawyer, but you never know. You never know how many lawyers you need. So whatever. Uh, are children's picture books allowed on BSP app? No, we just don't have that young of an audience, and we also don't publish children's books. Right? We just don't. Uh, our market's kind of cornered. We're like we make teenage content in general, right? And we've tried in the past, never worked out, so we don't do it anymore, right? Uh, That's one theme that you're gonna learn a lot about me for all the new people here that's never seen me before. I have no problem killing things that don't work. Right. So I'm a big believer in if it's not green on the freaking asset sheet, it's gone. That's it. So I've killed my own books. I've killed other people's books. Right. I've done a lot of cutting that has to be done because we have to be successful as a collective. Right. And that means you got to cut anything that might be a detriment to the entire thing. So children's books out. Right. I think novels might sneak in though. So because I have some novels right now that I'm selling on my store, and they actually sell pretty well and consistently, and they're very low cost to make. Right, you just need a talented writer, right, under your brand, and for the most part, everything else is cheap. Right, the editing's cheap. Right, the formatting's cheap. Right, the printing is kind of expensive. Right, compared to comics. Right, but at the end of the day, the initial development is very low maintenance. So we might do novels in the future, a lot of novels. Stay tuned. Let's see. Hey, Julian, just signed up on Patreon. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much. Make sure to be in that next publishing competition when we have them. So just let you know, we do have publishing competitions on Patreon. We did 3 last year. I think we did 3 last year. This one right here, Madagascar. Let me go pull up myself solo. All right, so this one right here, Madagascar. See that right there? This one is was one of our patron winners. He won a competition. We were basically telling them to what was the competition for? I'm trying to think. I think it was pre historical setting before slavery, no superpowers. It had to be like a real story, like a real historical setting with a real historical moment, right? So he wanted to do a story about Queen Ramavo, right? Queen Ramavo, and he won the competition along with 3 other people, right? And his book is done, Madagascar, and we've been selling it. It's a really beautiful title, and stuff like this, right? It's a manga, right? But we gave him the entire team. We paid for the entire production, right? We pay for everything. We buy the books. We sell them directly to consumers, right? We mentored him. I had to mentor him personally, right? Because he never did a comic book before in his life, right? He just won a competition, a pitch competition, right? And now he's a comic book creator, and a part of one of the biggest publishing houses in the country. That's the kind of thing that sometimes happens to patrons. So join the community. Let's see. See, I'm trying to look for different questions, different kind of questions. Ooh, look at this. Do you need brand ambassadors, cosplayers for social media marketing? Absolutely. I used to hire them all the time. So I used to hire them all the time when we first started BSP Comics. I had like freaking like 12 people on the rolls and before, right? I'm about to hire a newscaster. So Saturnus, I don't know if you know about this, but I'm about to hire like a full-time newscaster for our company so that anytime we have
Nice.
like I know, right? Anytime there's something interesting going on in the industry that relates directly to us or any like news about like new events or whatever, he's gonna be like breaking news. It's gonna be funny as heck, man. But the idea is this, right? So I'm hiring a newscaster because I think it's dope, right? To have you kind of know that if you see him, right? If you see him, you know something important is about to be said.
Pay attention.
You won't skip past that video. You'll be like, oh, wait a minute, this is about to be breaking news, right? So that's important. Brand ambassadors, absolutely. Cosplayers, absolutely. The reason for that is very simple. They tend to return more on their investment. So if you pay a cosplayer or a brand ambassador $1,000 to promote your thing for a month or whatever, right? They'll probably get you, $3,000 to $4,000 in return. Whereas if I gave $1,000 to Facebook, I'm looking at 2 to 2.5x, right? So, and people who perform much better than others get paid more, right? You upgrade their pay because they're clearly returning more for their investment, right? So yeah, absolutely, we hire them, ambassadors, cosplayers, right? You got a big platform, and you want to be about Black Sands, right? Let's get to work. Here's a question: can you do retail stores like sell in your store, brick and mortar, or online store? 100% online for us. I don't like brick and mortar. I'm not going to ever do brick and mortar. So, 100% online. Anything that's going to be brick and mortar is going to be licensed. So we're either sending them books directly or we're doing a licensing deal with a major chain in the United States, right? So that Walmart play or something like that, you know. But we ain't going to do it. Not us, right? Don't want to stretch yourself out too thin. Any 3D modeling needed? Not right now, but in the future, yes.
In the
Right?
future, yes, for sure.
How do we
Absolutely.
submit our VO auditions? When our casting director is in charge, they'll let you know,
Yeah,
whoever it is.
and we'll announce it through.
Yeah, you got to be following me. If y'all not following me right now, if y'all here and y'all ain't hit that subscribe button and notification button, right? Don't get mad at me if you miss an opportunity. I'm just saying, you know, I'm gonna be like, we did that last month. I'm sorry. What? I always wanted to be this. Oh man, is there gonna be another opportunity? No, you missed it. You know, one thing y'all gonna learn about me too is in general, because a lot of people here right now have never seen us before, Shark Tank, is that I'm probably the most frank and honest creator out there. Everybody else has like some image that they try to uphold, right? With me, I'm like, look, I'm dead honest with everybody. I don't beat around the bush, right? I give straight up. I have entire courses to teach people online on how to do stuff. But at the same time, if you go, hey, how do I start? I say, hey, just go online. I'm not going to teach you. So you see what I mean? It's like there's two sides to the coin. I give you the stuff that you need in order to succeed, right? But if you ask me to hold your hand, I'm gonna be like, absolutely not. I already did all this for you. You know what I'm saying? So it's a very realistic approach, right? Kind of like when you deal with a New Yorker, right, and you ask them for directions, right?
Yeah,
In the South, and you ask somebody for directions, they go, "Oh, I didn't know you weren't from around here," and they start yapping and doing all this stuff and trying to be friendly, and you're like, "Yo, I just need directions," right? If you go to New York, they're like, "Yo, how do I get to you know, 67th and Lexington or something like that, right? Like, how do I get to 67th Lexington or whatever?" And they'd be like, "What you do is you go right, you go left, and then you're right there." Not,
and
"Hey, how you doing?" None of that stuff. It's straight up frank. And if you go, "Hey, how's it going? I just came here from LA, and I was a little bit lost." They're like, "What's wrong with you,
no
man?"
time for that.
Right? It's like, get to the point. I don't want to be
Yeah,
in this. So just think of me as a real New Yorker, right?
yeah.
Who is going. I need fast. If you want to ask me a question, go directly to the point, right? And if it's a good question, I'm gonna answer it. But if it's some generic question or it's like that chatty stuff where it's like we're just chatting right now, I tend to disengage very quickly. And
I'm the
that's my
same way.
so I'm just being honest with you guys. So I'm gonna let you
Yeah.
know, be direct, be real with it, and I will freaking engage with you and be real with you too. And because a lot of things happen, and we just want to make sure that we're not wasting each other's time, right? We want to go, right? And remember, I always reward people when they do their job, because this one right here, I'm about to do a publishing deal with this guy from Machete Clan, right? Luis. He remade his entire comic book because I told him that his original comic book had a lot of what would you say, potential, but the art was trash. So I was like, art is terrible, and if you try to, it's never going to go anywhere, because just straight up, the art is going to stop customers from even trying it. They're just going to be like, no, right? So he did his entire comic book over. I came back and he was like, "Hey, I got a new artist. I got everything redone." And they gave it back to me. I said, "Oh, this is freaking amazing." I said, "This looks great." Right? It's short as heck. It's like 10, 12 pages long. Right? So it's a very short comic, right? But he did it. Right? And I was like, "Is this artist of yours? Can you lock them in to, let's say, 3 months of work? Is it possible?" And then he said, "Yeah, absolutely, 3 months of work." And I was like, "All right, so it looks like you're a pretty stable team for the most part. How about this? I'm gonna give you a traditional publishing deal. Let's push this series and let's see how far we can take it." This is a random fan who showed me their comic book, took my hard advice, pivoted, made a play, did some recruitment, now is managing his works, and now he's going to be published through Black Sands. Puerto Rican, not even black. Well, he said he's black, so he's black, right? Right, well, so but he's Puerto Rican, right? And at the end of the day, if you do if you're due to do the work, and I clearly see that you did the work, right? I'm gonna freaking boost you. I'm gonna get you out there. I'm gonna make you succeed, right? Because you're somebody who's not gonna freaking flake on me, right? Because I'm a man of action, right? And I kind of make enemies every now and then because of how bold I am and how I talk, right? So if you flinch, right, the whole crew could get wiped out because of a couple of people who flinch. So I need people who are going to get the job done. You know what I'm saying? That's the only people I want around me, soldiers. So that's all I'm saying, man. I just want to give y'all that little insight on who I am as a person, right? That's the guy that you're dealing with, at Black Sands. Let's see here. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, wholesale question. Wholesale opportunities. The best way is to contact PGW. That's Publishers Group West or Ingram. They distribute my books wholesale. So all you gotta do is ask for Black Sands, and they'll give you the wholesale charts, and you'll be able to order from them directly. I'll figure out a way to put it on my website too. So there's an easy way to just press wholesale and be able to contact them. But they sell all my stuff, so you can get wholesale from them. Will there be any manga publishing in the future? Absolutely. I just showed you one, Madagascar. It's not the same size, right? It's not sized, right, or oriented as a manga, but it's basically a manga, right? So we do it. Absolutely. What are you guys doing? I'm an assistant director at DGA. I don't know what DGA is.
Directors Guild of America.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What do I need to know about that, Turnus? Because I don't know anything about it.
It's basically a union. DGA is like the Directors Guild.
Okay. Yeah. Might be some opportunities then.
Absolutely.
Manuel, have you considered partnering with RDC World or any of the large Black-owned creators for conventions? Absolutely. Depends on what's the deal, though. Right. At the end of the day, price has gone up. So yesterday's price for Black Sands is not today's price. I'm just saying, right? At this point, I have to set a certain standard for what it's going to take for me to get out, right? Now with Black-owned conventions, Black-owned what's it called and stuff like that, I expect a certain amount of accommodations to be made. I don't expect to be paid, right? Because favor for a favor, right? But I do expect certain things to be done. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe give me a hotel room, lodging, or whatever, right? Just give me some, just give me some kind of like prestige to it, and we good, right? Because I'm gonna do that for you when the foot's on the other way. You know what I mean? So but if it's not that, right? If I'm showing up as a regular dude, right, then I ain't showing up, right? So that's what's up. Hey, does everybody see me on LinkedIn? I want to make sure. Okay, cool. Let me see. Let me go all the way back to the bottom because for some reason LinkedIn might have got disconnected. Did I get disconnected? Or let's see. Okay, we're still here. Good. Just making sure. A pop-up came on my screen, and I was scared that I lost you all, but I didn't. So let's keep going. What are WeFunder stocks currently valued at? Okay, this is an interesting question. What are WeFunder stocks currently valued at for those who already invested into BSP? Well, BSP just ended, so the value is the value. Like it's literally the current value that you bought it at, 13.1 million. You know what I'm saying? So that's the value. Like the round literally just ended like a week ago. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. How does the ROI work? Selling your stock eventually one day in the future, right? So long as we keep raising the value of our company, right, and then you sell your shares one day, that's the ROI. We don't know how much of an ROI it could be. It could be 5x, it could be 30x. You have no clue, right? Can't predict the future, but hopefully we'll be very good in the green. We'll be very far in the green, hopefully, right? Let's see. Are there plans for VR development? Oh, interesting. Are there plans for VR development? Turnus.
Yes, there is. We have some titles that we think are really good candidates for VR type applications. So basically taking the title and making a kind of gamified experience where you go through and you kind of unlock different you know animation sequences that'll happen like as you go through the experience. So we actually conceptualized this already for one of the titles for Maury's Family Adventures, where the idea would be that it's kind of an edutainment type of thing where you go and you're traveling with a family on vacation, let's say to Brazil or wherever you might take you, and then we haven't really figured out the story bits yet, but maybe the tour guide, something happens to him, he gets bit by a snake and he passes out, and he hands the kids the book and he's like, "Hey, you got to take over," and then you basically are like one of Maury's friends along for the ride, and you guys have to collectively figure out like how to give the tour now. So you put the tour guide's hat on and you start giving the tour, and you have the maps and you got the itinerary and you got all the information, and it's basically like you're learning about the culture and the place as you give the tour, because you now have to learn it really quick in order to be the tour guides for the other people on the tour.
And it will be modeled off of real life. So
Yeah.
it would look like the actual locations, right? With just a little less traffic, because some of these places had a lot of people in them, right?
Yeah.
but it'd be a lot more open space, because people don't get a chance to travel the world, right? So this would be like a little shortcut to traveling the world with an awesome Black family.
Yeah, and learning about places and cultures and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever plan on starting your own animations? What? Well, yeah.
Yeah, we done it.
We do, absolutely. Let's see. We from the stocks Kelly already read that one. That's why I invested. Blah blah blah. Let's see. Another carding. How do I get hired on the gaming division? Well, the gaming division doesn't exist yet, so just stay tuned on that. How can any attorney get in touch with you to get hired? DM, LinkedIn. I tend to add lawyers, right? Is I might not connect with a lot of people, but people who've been lawyers for 20 years, I tend to allow them to connect. Right? Because I don't know who they know or what they worked with, but the bottom line is it tends to be a good connection most of the time. So just add me and then message me. What do you think of a potential podcast for Black Sands? I want to do it. I talk a lot, so I want to do it. Right? I'm just trying to figure out where that would be best at. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. We'll see. What are qualifications for a voiceover artist? Be good. Let's see. Damn, this guy he is spamming. What are other art style restrictions? Body shape. I have no clue. I don't know what that is. What are other art style restrictions? Body shapes. There's no other restrictions. Nope. I just don't want adult content. That's it. A lot of comic books on the BSP Comics app look completely different from each other, style wise. So, there's some styles that I absolutely hate, right? But I can't name it. I don't even know what to call it. I don't know what to call it. I just see it and I'll be like, I just don't like it. So like it might be something that's very like designed, like it's not even like bad art. It's just like designed that way, but I would hate it. You know what I'm saying? But I have no word for what that is, right? I can't describe it.
Taste.
Yeah, it's just taste. Like, I don't like it. So.
Yeah, but I think body proportion styles, I think anything, it's wide open. Like, to me.
All right, let's see here. Okay, here's a good question. My wife and I own a socks and underwear company. Could we partner with making Black Sands products somehow? Depends on your velocity. I'll be honest with you. Let's say you have a really big socks and underwear company, right? There are potential licensing plays in there, right? but we won't do it with small, small companies. It has to. You got to have velocity. You got velocity? Absolutely, we could probably work out some kind of deal for business, right? But at the end of the day, we don't want to give our license out and make it too complicated as far as who owns what and everything else with people who are not doing massive amount of business themselves, right? So just some food for thought, right? You might be.
We'll probably be engaging a licensing agent as well. So
yeah. Hmm. This is weird. I keep seeing the same question over and over again. Oh, wait a minute. Did I just disconnect? I think I disconnected from. Let me see this. Let me press play. Accurate as it will get.
Is it on delay?
Okay, it's still here. I'm just not seeing the comments for some reason. I'm not seeing any LinkedIn comments. I think it has a bug or something like that. Because all I see is YouTube comments, right? So hopefully I'm gonna, because I don't want to just answer nothing but YouTube comments. There's a lot of them. All right, let's see here. Can novelists apply? Honestly, yeah, technically. I like novels. They sell well. In fact, let me be more clear on this. Can you give a novel to Black Sands to sell on our store? So long as you can handle a 50% commission rate, right? Then yes, we are accepting novels to sell on our store. Some people that sell in our store right now maybe sold 200, 300 books over the last year, right? But on our store, they sold 2,000 in 3 months, right? So if you're profitable at a 50% margin, you should apply, right? And just see what happens. We might put you on our store. Let's see. Freelance voice actors, are you looking to individuals to help designing the organization, personal needs, hiring and recruitment? Yes. Yes. Are you looking for individuals to help with designing the organ? This is the officers part, right? This is the officers part of the recruitment thing that I had earlier. It's officers, right? These are people who basically like making sure everything runs smooth in all facets of our company. So absolutely, we are looking for those people, the organizers who make sure that we don't mess up somehow. The business is getting pretty big, and I can't do it all by myself anymore. You know what I mean? Like I barely have time to write, so
I'm in the same boat.
So absolutely, we're going to be needing those people. Most likely part-time, right? And that's why we're going to assign officers instead, right? That way we don't, burn through all our money trying to hire staff, right? And just say, hey, here's some options, right? Here's some stock options. There you go. Have fun, right? So yeah, let's see. Are you gonna include? This is a weird question, but are you going to include Black Philistines, Black Assyrians, Black Babylonians to be rivals of Black Egyptians, Black Cushites? There's a lot of black. All I'm going to say is this. If you have a dope Black Babylonian story that you made into a comic and it looks good as heck, I already know there's an audience for it, Black Israelites. I already know there's an audience for it, right? So, but if you can make a quality book, I will 100% publish it. I'm not making it, right? But if you can make it and you can make it high quality with great art, I will publish it. Promise you that. Right? Because I already know there's an audience for it. I know there's an audience for Black Israelites to have their own stuff and everything else. So absolutely, it's going to happen, right? If you can make it, right? The problem is a lot of people do amateur work when they work on religious titles, right? I don't know why, but they do, right? It's just a trend. For some reason, religious titles tend to have like very like C-list like art. So let's get it to an A-list art, right? Or at least B+, right? And I already know the audience is there. A lot of people that follow me are Black Israelites. So I already know we have a deep bench for people who would like to read that kind of content. So just make it. Don't ask me to make it because I'm kind of busy. But you make it, I'm gonna help you out. And publish it, I'm gonna pay for it. It don't matter to me, right? Because I already know the audience exists. All right. Let's see. Good question, Turnus.
Hmm. Yeah, we definitely will be looking towards investors for the projects. So when it comes to the individual projects, the production budgets for each individual project, for sure.
Yeah,
For the
and oh, sorry. I think what he's asking is about the bigger investors.
at the studio level,
Yeah.
potentially, yeah, we're actually, looking at talks with potential partner studios, that kind of thing. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
We're always all ears to everything.
Got you. Yeah. So we're going to look at the models, right? And patrons will be able to see the models, right? That's one
Mhm.
thing about patron access. Every now and then we're going to send patrons, information that's inside, right? Like how the heck we're going to, monetize the Black Sand series, right? Who's going to get paid what? Where is their place in it, and everything else. The public don't really need that information, but somebody who's an investor, right, or somebody who's like has skin in the game, they want to know how their cut's going to work, right? How the whole model is going to work. Who has more power, right? The last thing you want to do is see that a production was made and then you find out that the people in charge are not the people who you thought they were. You know what I'm saying? So that information will be given to our patrons for sure. Okay, here we go. Good question. Hello, BSP. My WeFunder investment is on the wait list. Any chance it will be accepted? If it was before 1.25 million, high chance it will be accepted. If it was done after 1.25 million, low chance it will be accepted. If it was past 1.5 million, no chance it will be accepted. That's the answer. The only reason why it's even open for 7 days after we are already like made our goal was because legally the government doesn't allow you to close them without a week's notice. So they give you a week. They're like, 7-day countdown. It's over already. The second that 7-day countdown began, we had collected $1 million. We had already collected it. Right. Now, some people might drop out, right? They might opt out. Some people might go in, whatever. Right. But for the most part, at 1.25 million, we had a whole bunch of people who didn't pay, right? So it was like 250,000 of that, right? So, but we hit 1 million. And once we hit that 1 million, the countdown begun for 7 days. And then people try to come in. They might get grandfathered in if they're close to like the beginning. But if they came in at like the 7th day, no way. No way. They're going to refund you. I promise they'll refund you. They will, right? And just be prepared for the next round when it happens, you know? And there's no way to stop you guys too. I've tried. I've done every day. I was like, round's over. Don't invest, right? But it was like, but there's really no way to stop them because the legal requirements of it having to be left open by the government, right? So there's nothing I can do about that. And people like Turnus, they can't even invest in the company because they can. Well, no, you can because you're American, but
American,
your friends
yeah.
can't. Your friends can't. There's nothing they
Nobody
can
in Canada.
do. Canadians have weird laws that don't even allow them to participate. It's sad. They always DM me too. Why can't I get in? I'm like, nothing I can do about it. All right, so I'm gonna take about 3 more questions, and then we're going to be done for today. Okay. This has been a great meeting. First of all, a lot of information has been given. We really took a super deep dive into what our company is going to be doing and what opportunities there are for you guys. Right. We've talked about the credentials, so you know we're not bums. Right, we're not these guys who are like, "Hey, we're gonna make the best movie in the world." Because you know, there's a lot of people out there. They Turnus, you ran to 1,000,000 times. People who come in with a lot of confidence and they're totally like snake oil salesmen, right? They're like they ain't got nothing potentials. They just simply go in and act like they know things, and then people believe them. They're like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
I got it." Yeah. So So we're real. We do audits every year. We're about to do an audit again. CPA, gap audit on our entire corporation, right? Because I just like doing it before I need it, right? It takes a long time, so you always got to do it before you need it. Like, let's get it out the way now, right? So our financials are always available. In our last BSP Comics round, they had our financials for Best Black Sands Entertainment. Financials will be available to you guys once we're done with our audit for 2021, right? We are extremely transparent company on purpose. We want you guys to know what the heck you're dealing with, all right? Because there's too many scammers out there. Too many scammers out there that hype things up and it'll never happen. We don't miss. 5 years straight. We haven't missed yet. All right. Call me Hawkeye. I don't miss. Right. and I'm just proud of that. I'm proud that we've always done it. And I'm proud for all the investors that I make smile every single day because they know that they won. They did win. People were crying when we went on Shark Tank, because they're part of it. It's them. They won, So let's see. My daughter is 14 and does comics and draws. Would you work with a child that age if their work is great? No, I would not. Just legal. It's just a legal mess. That's the reason why, straight up. It's not because I don't like the kids and stuff like that. Like mentorships, sure. If I think they're talented enough, I'll give a mentorship, right? But to literally work, it's a bridge too far for those younglings, right? Younglings I can't do it. So just a heads up, right? Mentorship is fine, right? But not necessarily, working.
Definitely advise, for sure.
Okay. Hey, Dalfredo, what's up, man? Let's see. Any interest working with Comcast? I'm an analyst there and can make an introduction. Well, that's a very specific question, Turnus.
I don't know. Really depends.
That's a big thing, right? It's like Comcast. That's like half the world, right?
Yeah, it's interesting because like the way that distribution works, it's so layered, right? Like when it comes down to cable providers, they're aggregating all these different like labels and broadcast entities. So I don't know if I don't even know if it's possible to work directly with.
Yeah, with that being said, Daryl for sure make some introductions because one thing is they have Comcast owns a lot of channels, right? So just by owning the channels in general, right, there's a lot of media opportunities, right? That's built both. They need stories, so we're a pretty cool story, right? So that's just one avenue of it. They also might have some funding. I have no clue what Comcast is a huge giant beast, so I have no clue what the heck kind of opportunities are there with Comcast, but I'm glad you're bringing it up because I love introductions. So for sure. Absolutely. Let's see. Will there be finance opportunities like accounts payable? Yep, most likely. Somebody's got to pay everybody. It ain't going to be me. I'm sick of it.
Me too.
I'm sick of dealing with these books, man. Absolutely. Especially since now that we're publishing titles, there's a lot of royalties going on, a lot of units sold, a lot of tracking of your royalties versus the advances and all the other crap. Man, if somebody's not handling this, man, I'm starting to get into the thick of things. So I want to make sure that that's handled immediately. So yeah, financial, absolutely. It's probably one of the first things we're going to recruit.
Yeah. There's a lot of work to be done.
Yeah. Let's see. One more question. I'm gonna see if I find a really good one. Let's see. Are you looking for IT professionals? Sure, why not? But that's not the question I'm taking. Just wanted to answer it because it was an easy question. Are there any talent positions that don't require much experience? Not positions. You can always apply to become a creator, right? You just got to have the ability to make something that's pretty attention grabbing, right? But you got to understand too that literal sentence, right? Are there any talent positions that don't require much experience? Like, like even the sentence doesn't make sense, right? A talent position means you have experience, right? It's like that's your talent. You know what I'm saying? Just think about that for a moment, right? The best thing I say is for anybody who's wants to work with Black Sands with absolutely no credentials, right? They got to win a competition. We have competitions; it happens, right? And the best of the best wins, right? Like I said, never been done.
Yeah, I mean, I often see students who have an amazing portfolio, an amazing reel, and I take them on, even if they haven't been working somewhere. But
Yeah,
but they at least have, that demonstrated ability, like in their demo reel or in their portfolio.
yeah.
So yeah,
Just think of us as an intermediate company, right? You want opportunities with us, intermediate or above, right? Because we're not an entry level company. We're like we just don't have time to train people up. We're looking for people who are ready to go, and then we just freaking pour gasoline on them, and it's fire time. You know what I'm saying? So that's just the way the opportunities are with our company right now. Eventually, one day we're gonna have all types of programs for newbies, right? We're gonna be like, yeah, here's a whole program on black animation, right, for free. Right? But not right now. Right now, we got to focus on scaling as fast as possible, which means we need amazingly talented people all around us. All right, so it's time for the power in the Black and Brown community to center mass on the Black Sands movement, so we can get to $1 billion as fast as possible and create significant generational wealth in our community. That's what we need. That's what we need. So this is the time to get the best of the best to get on board, right? Why the heck should you be working for Instagram, right? Figuring out their business models. If we have the money to pay you just like they did, I said I require you to jump ship for your culture. You say I said sorry Instagram. I know y'all. This is the place to be, but I'm gonna have to build up Black Sands now. They paying me, so it's not like pay is the problem. So I'm just choosing the cause, and Black Sands is the cause. So that's what's up. Plus we're remote, so we don't have the whips like they do. Instagram be like, you better be in at 8:30. Wow, wow. All right, so we're a lot more lenient on that. All right, we're done. 2-hour meeting. 2-hour meeting. What the heck? That's a while, man. A lot of questions were asked. A lot of questions were answered. Opportunities galore. Hey, if you haven't signed up for Patreon yet, I don't know what you're waiting on. By the way, you can also download all our comic books on Patreon too. There's like 20 of them. So just go to the post, look at that hashtag that says rewards or releases, and you're going to see nothing but comic books. It's like 20 of them you can download on there. The entire Black Sand series, Madagascar Flame, all these other titles, ridiculous amount of stuff in there. Just content on day one. So you $5 patron, right? $5 a month. Day one, you get all of them, right? Because that's just the way the system works. So thank you guys so much. Thank you for being here. First time live on LinkedIn ever, right? So all you my LinkedIn people, thank you so much for showing up. I appreciate y'all, really do. Thank you guys so much for showing up. And hopefully I become this big sensation on LinkedIn, right? The Black Thanos, the Black Thanos of publishing, right? And I'll see y'all later. It was a great time. If you want to have any more opportunities, make sure to go and reach out, connect with us, and look for a lot of opportunities to happen in the next 3 months or so. Right. And that's it. Maybe the next video I do, if everything works out fine, it'll be me and Kevin Hart talking to y'all. Who knows? Right. But see you later.